action.
Action.
Okay, Lyd, so managed to catch up with you now because I've come out to Lanza.
Yay!
Yay, I'm here. And first time we've been able to properly catch up post Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you a few questions about the race, get your thoughts on it before you head into your next race. So, in terms of Challenge Gran Canaria then, how did you feel about your overall race execution? Were you happy with it?
Do you know, I'm really proud of it. So, like, I had a mechanical on the bike, which is why you probably saw me drop off the tracker, that you realise that was the case. So, if you'd like take it down to the start, so with the swim, I was really happy with my execution of it. Like, the front pack were fast, so realistically looking at where I'm at my swim at the moment, I wasn't going to be able to stay within that group, but I did stay in the second pack of swimmers, which was really good because it's just nice to come out with water with people. There's been so many races where I've been in that no man's land, and I made sure I just backed myself and just fought to stay on the feet that I knew that I should be. I predicted who I'd be swimming with, and I was bang on that prediction, so that's always good as well when you kind of tally it where you think you are against where others are as well. So I was really happy with where I came out of the swim. Going into transition was all good. I'm not the snappiest, but I also wasn't the slowest. I didn't dither, but so it was good because I felt a bit rusty going into transition. You never practice that swim to bike piece, so yeah, that was all good. And then going out onto the bike, it's actually feeling pretty fresh. Usually I come out of the swim and onto the bike, and sometimes I just feel absolutely dead, which everyone does feel, but in relative terms compared to normal, I was yeah, this is actually, I'm alright, here we go. Let's get to work now. Then 10 minutes into the bike, my front hub sheared in one place, which meant two of the spokes came loose on my front wheel. So I was this is why I'm proud of the race, because with the main objective at that point, I was to make sure I could get so much value from the day. So it went from being sort of tactically in the race and how I could approach the bike to run leg, to what can I do to still get loads of value from it. So worked through a few options. Initially I went for the brute force of I'll just break the spokes. Realised they're actually quite strong and I'm not. So then I got my Swiss Army knife out and thought I'll saw through them. And I felt like that the film 72 Hours where he's trying to saw through his arm. I realised I was going to be there for hours if I tried that. And then I remembered I had some cable ties in my storage box as well. So I grabbed them, cable tied the spokes to other spokes. I'd also at the same time, as soon as I realised I had a mechanical, flagged down an official and asked for them to radio through to the on-bike mechanical support for the course, which didn't exist, which was really frustrating. They rang through and no one answered, so that was not great from Challenge really to not have that support there. But then, so I managed to fix it, and I had, obviously with two spokes not being there, it's quite an integral part to the wheel, so I had my sort of safety criteria. I ride tubeless and I ride with an insert as well. So the first thing to assess was, had any rim tape been damaged, was the pressure still there? And I kept making that assessment through the race as well, of just doing little mini bunny hops on the front wheel just to check the pressure at certain points, and just managing the descents really sensibly. So I was quite confident with being able to assess it, knowing enough about my equipment choices to have confidence that the risk reward of continuing stacked up. And I said if anything else happened, if I didn't feel confident in that at any point, I would just stop, because it's not worth trying to compromise safety for anything. So I rode quite well. I was able to work out where I was in terms of overall race and how I was riding. So at different points, because it's a 4-lap course, you can keep assessing whether you're sort of gaining or losing time where you see people. So I kept making my assessments against Tom, and I could see that actually each lap I was gaining on him, and the same with I made up a few places again on the bike. So it's always quite nice when you can see you're still progressing, still getting value. I was able to tune into my equipment choices as well and ride under race conditions. So the bike was good in the end. I was really happy with how I managed it and made sure I didn't not have the opportunity to get the high training benefit that the day provided. And then going out into the run, again, I was sensible in transition. The goal was, I'm not in a rush, like I might as well just make sure all my socks are on properly, trainers are on properly, and take my time just to set myself up for the run. Then my goals for the run, there was no point in absolutely burying myself. I'm thinking ahead of the next like training block I've got, the goal towards building towards Ironman Lanzarote at the moment. So the objective was just for the 21k, can I just settle in and around and tune into what I feel like might be around that Ironman intensity, and so I just test that under race conditions. And that was it really, and just practice my nutrition and just enjoy it, because there's loads of people we had out on the course that we knew, and so it's just enjoy that experience of being there and just look back and think, do you know what, okay, the circumstances weren't ideal, I wasn't tactically in the race, but I still had loads that I could take away from it in that execution. And I think for me that's the biggest thing, is like when I look back on it, okay, I wasn't like, in terms of like the performance and outcome, it wasn't what I kind of gone for, but it didn't mean that I didn't take loads of other things away from it as well.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And I realise it's not like for like because of obviously the mechanical that you experienced, but how did the race compare for you to last year? Because you did the race last year as well, so how did it compare to last year?
Yeah, well I think for me, like, it's like, because I write a lot of sort of qualitative feedback, so we're not just looking at the data points. So I've obviously gone through the different data points that I've got for courses exactly the same, as say conditions are pretty much similar, but what I'm also looking at is how I felt. And I can say this time I was fully in control of the intensity. Last year, especially on the run, it was only a 2-minute difference, but I knew I had more in the tank if I needed it. And that's the difference. I was totally in control of the race and how it felt. And again, like afterwards, like the recovery, the bounce back's been super quick. So again, I'm kind of like looking at that conditioning piece and can see, okay, well, overall the bike, it probably would have been about, I think based on length of time I was on the road for, probably about 8 to 12 minutes quicker I reckon on last year, maybe 8 to 10, so that's good. So we're looking at that. And then in terms of run, in terms of how it felt, in terms of like RPE, heart rate and pace, like it was, yeah, I'd say an improvement again on last year as well, just feeling in control of it, and not being dictated to by like the intensity and thinking that's going to be the limiting factor. It was more how much did I want to push, how deep was I prepared to go, that was the limiter there.
Yeah, brilliant. And so what are the key things that you've learned or taken away from your race experience this year then?
I was actually quite surprised at how chilled I was about the mechanical. That's probably the big thing for me, is like I've never actually had a mechanical in a race before, so that was a new experience, and just knowing that I was like, oh, well, okay, that's that.
Like, maybe different to how you might have reacted a few years ago,
yeah, yeah, very different. I'd have been toys out the pram and been like, well, there's no point, what's the point? Like, this has been a totally wasted trip, like, this has been a total write-off, and yeah, it would have been a very different reaction. So I think for me, just knowing that in that situation, I can make really balanced, pragmatic and calm decisions. Which is good because you never get to practice that sort of thing. And I know that a lot of time when we talk about like when like we're on virtual sessions and either yourself or Tom is delivering them, we talk about like race specifics and different scenarios you might come up against, and you kind of mentally prepare for those things. But there's one thing like mentally preparing and practicing in training versus it actually happening and what your like behavioural reaction is to it. So yeah, just like knowing that, okay, even though it wasn't the day that I would have ideally have liked to have had on paper, I still managed to flip it and make sure there's loads of opportunity and lessons learned from it.
Yeah, brilliant, love it. And obviously you've come straight from Gran Canaria straight over to Lanzarote, and I think it's a total of 5 weeks you're either in Gran Canaria or Lanzarote, and without going home in between. What made you make that decision to go straight from there to here without going home?
Yeah, so this was one that weighed up, because obviously there's a huge investment in making that decision, and it was a case of, well, Lanzarote is obviously an important race to me now, having like done it for the last couple of years. I wanted to set myself up for the best possible chance, to like have a really good crack at it. And for me, coming like this early, not having the additional disruption of travel again, and just being able to settle down, like acclimatise, I think was that piece of like looking back at the race, if I look back, so what I just try to do is forward think it. So in like, what is it, like 3.5 weeks time or whatever, it's like, okay, well, did I give myself the best possible chance? And how does that actually look? And that was the decision around it. It was like, do you know what, just like setting myself up. I had like forward thought this, so I made sure like from like the other, like the work side of things, that I'd set myself up to make this possible. So it wasn't just like, can I? It was yeah, I'm going to do that, that's my plan. To really go and just have a really good like chance at the race, and just know that I've just, yeah, been able to create this opportunity and just see where it goes to, rather than just trying to rush around. And I guess I kind of historically just sold myself short of like trying to, what's the minimum I can get away with, like being away from the UK, because obviously it's different in terms of like cost outlay, etc. But sometimes it's looking at a side, like away from that side, of actually what's the best thing I can do for the best possible chance I could have at this race, and that was it really. So yeah, it's obviously really cool like to be out here. It's obviously quite relaxing at the sports club, and just, yeah, like get myself ready into it, really focus, and just, it is different when you're not going like day to day like at home. I always say, oh, I'm not going to do this, that and the other, and it's tempting, like there's a lot of people like asking for bike fits at the moment and stuff like that, and I'm like, I know I wouldn't get that quality downtime, recovery and training benefit if I was at home, like even though you say best endeavours, compared to being here. So that was the reason.
Good, cool, okay. And then lastly, obviously you've got 2 more races to go, like while you're out here. So
Yep.
You've got the Volcano Tri this weekend, tomorrow.
It is
tomorrow. And you've also obviously got Ironman Lanzarote. So will anything that you've learnt from Gran Canaria change the way you approach the next few weeks and these races?
No, it won't. In terms of like my preparation, like the focus has always been on Ironman Lanzarote, and so Gran Canaria was like really high quality training day out. Just to get like shake off some of the cobwebs, get race sharp again. Like generally compared to a lot of athletes, I haven't got a lot of racing experience, so it's another way just to practice like racing and just switching yourself back on. Like last year I didn't race again after Ironman Lanzarote really, so it's been a long time, like nearly a year, without having that race specific practice. But I'm also like been looking back at what I did like in 2022, leading up to the Ironman. So I've got a really good assessment, I think, of where I'm at compared to then. So I'm confident in the process that I followed leading up to this. So again, there's no need to knee-jerk react. I took what I needed to away from Gran Canaria. So yeah, I'm not going to change anything. I've got a really good idea over the next, like following Volcano Tri tomorrow and over the next sort of 10 days before I scarily start tapering into Ironman Lanzarote, what I need to do. But again, like I think I said a few weeks ago to you, Lauren, I was like, I think I'm as ready as I can be in the time that I've had, and it was more of a case of waiting and finessing. So yeah, nothing knee-jerk reacting. All I can do is now wait until race day, and that'll be the first point of learning of how effective my strategy's been leading up to that race to then take from. But yeah, no knee-jerk reactions, just keep doing what I do, following the process and just keeping relaxed and enjoy it as much as I can. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Lids, and a great debrief and probably some really valuable insight for everyone to hear there. And good luck tomorrow. Race number 2 of 3. I know.